Day 29 of the 30-day challenge. We have almost reached the finish line. But today we're going to talk about cataloging. And to be honest with you, I used to think cataloging was not necessary. I thought, I can remember everything that I have, and there's no sense taking the time to do that. Let me tell you why I changed my mind. Number one is because my husband asked me, he was redoing the homeowner's insurance, and he asked me, how much value do you have down in your craft room in case the house burns down? And I had no idea. I mean, I could probably guess, but I found that after I cataloged everything, I was able to give a much better educated answer. Number two, if that doesn't convince you, number two was I've got carpet on my floor, and after an event or something, I looked down and I saw a stamp. It was a photopolymer stamp, and I had absolutely no idea where it went. And I started thinking, if I had everything cataloged, I could at least search by photopolymer so that I could then try and, narrow it down to a third of the choices to try and figure out which stamp set it goes in. And then number three was when COVID hit, right? And we were all sort of trapped in our houses, and I was looking for some organization projects to make me feel more at ease. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try this. And so I actually offered it up to my InStampers team as a challenge, and I like to give them challenges every 6 months as well. And I said, all right, let's look at some different websites or apps that we could use, and I challenge everyone to catalog their craft supplies. And so we looked at Evernote, and we looked at Color My Life, and we looked at Airtable. And I settled on Airtable, and during COVID, the early days of COVID, I cataloged all of my stamps and embossing folders, and I am so happy I did. So if you haven't done that already, you should check out the description below where I give a link to Airtable if you want to check that one out. And I'll show you a little bit about what that looks like, just giving you a screenshot of my database. But if you're not ready to catalog everything using an app quite yet, stick with me. I have one more idea for you that might be helpful for organizing your dies. So on Airtable, you can create different workspaces. So I created one for Stampin' Up! And then later Entertainment. And you can see there that I'm using the free plan. Within each workspace, you can create bases. And so within Stampin' Up!, I have my stamp collection, my embossing folder collection, and even a spreadsheet basically of all of the ladies on my InStampers team. And then I got carried away and started doing my books, movies, and games, which I categorized under entertainment. So here's my database for my embossing folders. Remember how I suggested labeling them all by type so that you made sure you had the perfect sandwich when embossing. So this database basically helped me get organized to do that. And even though I had my paper pumpkin stamps neatly organized in these cases, I really wasn't using them because I couldn't even remember what was in there. So until I cataloged my stamps, now I can really use them. So here's what my stamp database looks like. I have a column for the name, and that is organized by month. So 1 is January, 2 is February, etc. Then there's a place to upload a picture, and I pull that from a particular website. You can find the link in the description below if you want to see how to do that. Then the status is the year of the paper pumpkin. The type is photopolymer. Then there's a column for price, whether or not it coordinates with a die or a punch, the theme, what sentiments are included in the stamp set, and what images are included in the stamp set. But in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little magnifying glass, and that's probably the best feature because then I can type in a sentiment, let's say get well, and it will pull up all the stamp sets I own that have get well in the sentiment. That is such a lifesaver. Here's another view of the same database, but you can see here that I have it broken down by current and retired. And then within retired, I have a section for retired not for sale and retired for sale. So when the retired list comes out soon, then it helps me go through my database and switch it over to the ones that have retired, and then decide whether or not I want to sell it at the retired sale coming up in the summer with my team. And remember when I used to hang my dies on my wall? I thought this would be helpful for people that come over to my events, primarily Coffee and Crafting and Craft Night, which are open craft nights where people can use my tools. The problem was things weren't ending up back in the right space. And so I decided to come up with a new system where I now have a 3-ring binder for a pictorial of all the different dies that I own. That way, when people come over and want to borrow a particular shape, I can just hand them the binder that they can flip through rather than flipping through all my actual dies. Then when they find the shape that they want, I can just easily pull it out for them so they can use it. If you're interested in this template, there's a link in the description below here in this video for you to save this Word document to your computer, and then you can just swap out the pictures of the images. Now I pull these directly from the Stampin' Up! Website, and then I just change the name of the die, how many dies are included in the set, the item number, and then the price. Then I print them off and put them in the notebooks. You can also find a link to those notebooks and sheet covers in the description below as well. Now just remember, do what works for you, but cataloging is just a way for you to quickly find what you need when you need it. And remember that 7.5 hours a week that we spend looking for things is probably spent looking for the perfect sentiment to go on one of your cards. So I hope you've got some ideas for getting your craft supplies cataloged. See you tomorrow for your after pictures.